UN Global Compact on Migration. Objective 2. Minimize the adverse drivers and structural factors that compel people to leave their country of origin. 18. We commit to create conducive political, economic, social, and environmental conditions for people to lead peaceful, productive, and sustainable lives in their own country and to fulfill their personal aspirations, while ensuring that desperation and deteriorating environments do not compel them to seek a livelihood elsewhere through irregular migration. We further commit to ensure timely and full implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as to build upon and invest in the implementation of other existing frameworks in order to enhance the overall impact of the Global Compact to facilitate safe, orderly, and regular migration. To realize this commitment, we will draw from the following actions. A. Promote the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, including the Sustainable Development Goals and the Addis Ababa Action Agenda, and the commitment to reach the furthest behind first, as well as the Paris Agreement and the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 to 2030. B. Invest in programs that accelerate states' fulfillment of the Sustainable Development Goals with the aim of eliminating the adverse drivers and structural factors that compel people to leave their country of origin, including through poverty eradication, food security, health and sanitation, education, inclusive economic growth, infrastructure, urban and rural development, employment creation, decent work, gender equality and empowerment of women and girls, resilience and disaster risk reduction, climate change mitigation and adaptation, addressing the socio-economic effects of all forms of violence, non-discrimination, rule of law and good governance, access to justice and protection of human rights, as well as creating and maintaining peaceful and inclusive societies with effective, accountable, and transparent institutions. C. Establish or strengthen mechanisms to monitor and anticipate the development of risks and threats that might trigger or affect migration movements, strengthen early warning systems, develop emergency procedures and toolkits, launch emergency operations, and support post-emergency recovery in close cooperation with and support of other states, relevant national and local authorities, national human rights institutions, and civil society. D. Invest in sustainable development at local and national levels in all regions, allowing all people to improve their lives and meet their aspirations by fostering sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, including through private and foreign direct investment and trade preferences to create conducive conditions that allow communities and individuals to take advantage of opportunities in their own countries and drive sustainable development. E. Invest in human capital development by promoting entrepreneurship, education, vocational training and skills development programs and partnerships, productive employment creation in line with labour market needs, as well as in cooperation with the private sector and trade unions, with a view to reducing youth unemployment, avoiding brain drain, and optimizing brain gain in countries of origin and harnessing the demographic dividend. F. Strengthen collaboration between humanitarian and development actors, including by promoting joint analysis, multi-donor approaches, and multi-year funding cycles in order to develop long-term responses and outcomes that ensure respect for the rights of affected individuals, resilience and coping capacities of populations, as well as economic and social self-reliance, and by ensuring these efforts take migration into account. G. Account for migrants in national emergency preparedness and response, including by taking into consideration relevant recommendations from state-led consultative processes, such as the guidelines to protect migrants in countries experiencing conflict or natural disaster, in brackets MICIC guidelines, end brackets. In bold, natural disasters, the adverse effects of climate change and environmental degradation, end bold. H. Strengthen joint analysis and sharing of information to better map, understand, predict, and address migration movements, such as those that may result from sudden onset and slow onset natural disasters, the adverse effects of climate change, environmental degradation, as well as other precarious situations, while ensuring the effective respect, protection, and fulfillment of the human rights of all migrants. I. Develop adaptation and resilience strategies to sudden onset and slow onset natural disasters, the adverse effects of climate change and environmental degradation, such as desertification, land degradation, drought, and sea level rise, taking into account the potential implications on migration while recognizing that adaptation in the country of origin is a priority. J. Integrate displacement considerations into disaster preparedness strategies and promote cooperation with neighbouring and other relevant countries to prepare for early warning, contingency planning, stockpiling, coordination mechanisms, evacuation planning, reception and assistance arrangements, and public information. K. Harmonise and develop approaches and mechanisms at sub-regional and regional levels to address the vulnerabilities of persons affected by sudden onset and slow onset natural disasters by ensuring they have access to humanitarian assistance that meets their essential needs with full respect for their rights wherever they are, and by promoting sustainable outcomes that increase resilience and self-reliance, taking into account the capacities of all countries involved. L. Develop coherent approaches to address the challenges of migration movements in the context of sudden onset and slow onset natural disasters, including by taking into consideration relevant recommendations from state-led consultative processes, such as the Agenda for the Protection of Cross-Border Displaced Persons in the context of disasters and climate change, and the Platform on Disaster Displacement. This has been the end to Objective 2, minimizing the adverse drivers and structural factors that compel people to leave their country of origin.